he's had a 2-second lesson.
I couldn't quite make Top Gun.
He's ready to roll.
So this is the best I can do. It's drone gun.
Drone gun.
Let's do it, Maverick. Today we're here with Property Shop CEO, entrepreneur, man about bangers, Saul, sister, Saul Goodwin. We play soccer together with Saul. But Saul also has a very interesting job, which I thought. Would you class it drone piloting or photographer? What was it?
Initially it was photography, but I say drone dude because they say, oh, the drone dude's here, so that's kind of how I refer to it. But it's a drone pilot, so I had to go get a license through CASA, which is the Civil Aviation Safety Authority. I should know that.
Remember that one? You might need to edit that one, Dylan, because
just if it comes up on my phone, I know I'm in trouble. So I just kind of I've taken that out of my mind. So yeah, I've been doing it, flying the drone for probably 6 or 7 years, but doing real estate photography, which is the primary activity of the business, for almost 15 years. But full time about 10. About 10 years.
And were you always in Byron Bay?
No, born in Wollongong. But
the gong, mate. The gong.
The gong.
Dapto Dogs.
You know the Dapto Dogs?
Fucking hell, mate.
Yeah. It's an institution, the Dapto Dogs.
Albion Park Tavern.
Yeah, I actually... no, I won't say that. So from there, I went travelling and stuff, and then Rose and I, my wife, we moved to Maroubra in Sydney. So we lived there for probably 4 or 5 years, and then just we had good jobs, and then just decided that Sydney wasn't for us. She rang up a language school because she's an English language teacher in Byron. The same day she rang up, the woman who answered the phone was handing in a resignation. She had an interview 2 days later. I think a week after that, we were in Byron. I'd never been here before. No, and just and before I came up, I was looking for something to do because I was working in public relations in Sydney. So we would do for Fox Searchlight Films. So if they brought out a like a foreign language film or a documentary, we would do all the publicity for it. So, you know, Margaret and David from the movie show. No.
Oh, hang on, is that the old couple?
Yeah.
He's bald, she's like great.
So I would go to Fox Studios, they'd have a screening, like you'd get them waters and sandwiches, and they would sit there and watch and other movie reviewers, and they'd watch the film, they'd come out and write a critique, so you'd always really, really nice.
Good job, isn't it?
Look, it was good, it was paid really, really poorly. Kat Lavelle, if you're watching this, you're a thief.
Yeah,
and it was good, but the hours were a lot, and Sydney, I just felt it wasn't for me. Like, you know, you miss a bus, your day gets blown out by an hour, you miss one coming back, and I'm like, no, let's go. So I pretty much downshifted before I even got out of second gear. And then coming up here, there was nothing really in public relations, so a friend of my brother's was doing these virtual tours for real estate, like 360s. So I looked into that, looked up here, and they had dial-up here at this stage, so they didn't even have broadband. So
how many years ago was this?
This would have been... We arrived the night that Nicole Kidman won her Oscar.
Oh.
So you can Google that. I think it's about 17 years now. 17 years, 16 years. So we just packed a whole lot of stuff in the car. Didn't even really look. I think when we came up here, we packed the wrong boxes. So we had like the trinkets box. We had a toaster. We had a cannabis plant.
Oh, my kind of plant.
Yeah, so we're coming to the right area. And then, so anyway, backtracking a little bit, I just sort of thought, well, that's going to be a good thing to do, that sort of photography. So I had a few lessons with this guy doing these 360s, and then came up here and just sort of started up a business called Bay VT, and much like what you did, just sort of said, yep, I can do it. And then when the jobs started coming in, started panicking, going, well, I better teach myself how to do it. But at that stage, it was all window shop fronts with photos, but the photos were all just taken on film or just with really poor photography. So I was the only one doing it in town, so it got busy quick, but not super busy. But so that's how I started. I just sort of, I pretty much faked it to begin with.
Okay, well, that's what you got to do, isn't it? I like that statement, like fake it till they make it. So there's another example of you fell into a career because you put yourself out there in the world and you saw an opportunity and you thought, fuck, I can have a crack at that.
Yeah, and
you didn't go and study photography or study video editing or video and any of that sort of stuff?
No, I mean video then wasn't really a thing. And when we were in Maroubra, like the catalyst for it was we had an apartment which we were just renting right near the beach, and the guy was going to sell it, and the owner said, oh, the photographer's going to be there at 10, so you just make it all clean and just wait outside. So the photographer turned up. We waited outside at the front. He was inside for like 15 minutes. He came out, and I was just chatting to him, and he said, "Oh, you know, how many photos?" He said 5. I said, "Oh, it's good. How much do you get paid?" He's like, "Oh, $165. I'm like, "Wow." He goes, "I've got to go. I've got another 5 on today." I'm like, 5?
15 minutes.
I'm like, that's it. I mean, I was always into photography, traveling, but when I saw that, I'm like, that sounds like a pretty good gig. And then my brother's friend, and it just sort of all coalesced into something. And then coming up here, before the big property boom, really, but yeah, it was. It just seemed to work.
There was a guy I used to drink beer with in a pub in Sydney. His name was Carl, an
Yeah.
English guy around Rushcutters, based in the suburbs. That was his job. So his job was photography for the real estate agents.
Yeah.
And he used to have like a team of editors, like 5 or 6 guys that would edit, because he'd done the whole eastern suburbs. All
Wow.
the stuff for the big fucking billboards, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was getting
Was that back when you were in so a while ago?
So 10 years ago.
10 years
10
ago.
years
Okay,
ago.
yeah.
And
It's probably Carl that came to Maruba.
it could have been Carl,
Yeah.
but then what Carl got savvy with is he got rid of his employees as they were busting his balls. He would take the pictures, upload them, send them to Czech Republic
Yeah.
or Poland.
Yeah.
They would have all these guys, like a whole team of designers,
Mm.
touching up his pictures. So when he woke up in the morning, he had like done 6 houses, all ready to go back to the real estate,
Yeah.
or to the guys that print the canvas to put on the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And that's what his business was. His business, when the internet
Yeah.
opened up, his real estate photography business became a very different model for him. It became a one-man band.
There's a lot of that. I mean, I would have a couple of emails a day from editing companies overseas, like a lot in India, a lot in China, South America, like all offering services. But I think the difference with what we do is we kind of tailor it to when we take the photos, we tailor it to the client, because otherwise, like, there's a stage there I was doing, because it was one of the first, so I had loads of clients and all in the same town.
Sorry, garlic burp.
I tasted I tasted that.
I had a Yaman burger before we started.
I tasted it before.
Falafel and garlic. It's amazing for me, probably not so amazing for Saul.
Maybe I should go up with.
And I'm down with.
So anyway, we kind of tailor our shots to different clients, and that way we keep the editing in house and sort of go, well, if it's a holiday rental and it's high end, we go a little bit more editorial. If it's a really dingy place, and you make it really light and bright, and that's why you kind of cater. Because if you send it away, then everything comes back, pretty much the same, and you don't get the same editor every time. I mean, we've tried a few. There's a couple of people I work with if it's a really big job and I need help, because otherwise, just for volume, like you were saying, it is hard. But the landscape for photography's changed dramatically.
Did you take the pictures for the house we just bought in Bangalore?
Yes, I did.
You did, huh?
I did. Yeah. It's nice house. Really nice.
Fantastic. Well photographed.
Oh, thanks
Great
very
proportions.
much.
It's funny. It's like
Well, they lured you in.
you've got to have a picture, especially say a house picture, because it's very emotionally driven. Nine times out of 10, it's got to say so much in a very short space of time.
Exactly.
To hold someone hanging there, to look at something, to then visualise a lifestyle,
Yes.
potentially, or a development, or a chain, whatever it is, because it's such a picture of meaning for many people. So I suppose once you've nailed that part of the business, you probably find it a whole lot easier to pick up more and more business.
Well, you do, and you're correct, because it's actually shifting. If you look on realestate.com now, like about 5 years ago, the photos would be like big wide shots of a lounge room or something, and people see that, and there's nothing evocative in that. So now often there'll be a photo, it might just be like the front gate opening, and you see the front door, because someone's going along and they're one click away from either looking at the property or not. Whereas previously, real estate, you'd have someone walk off the street, come in the office, and you've got them. You make them a cup of tea, they've invested half an hour to an hour. Whereas now it's just, some internet warrior going through
It's
and
like
clicking.
Tinder.
Apparently.
I've never been on it.
No.
But the way I see those fingers going, is it that way?
Swipe
That's
right.
Grindr. That's Tinder.
think it might be swipe right from what I'm told. But so photography now, like when I first started pitching it, a lot of agents were saying, photos don't sell houses, I sell houses, and and I'm like, oh, the internet, like 60% of all leads are coming from the internet, and they're going, no, my phone runs red hot. And now, like, the biggest agency in town would be First National, and they're not even on the main street.
Yeah.
They're off the main street. They don't have one photo in the window, and it's all internet driven, all internet. So
They've adopted technology.
well, look, they do,
Which is the way it's went.
Exactly, and something like that, because it's such a big industry. Like when COVID hit, straight away there was virtual tours, and it's such a big industry that people have to adapt because so much relies on it, and there's so many eyes looking on it. So the next best thing, like drone technology, as soon as I saw that, and this is kind of before anyone else, I'm like, that's because in Byron, like you've got to be able to see the ocean. If you can see where you are to the Cape, then that's the money shot. But it just, part of the pun, but it took off immediately because I was going to people like, I'll do a drone shot. And they're like, no, we don't need that. Just get 10 shots of the house. I'm like, look, I'll take it. If you don't want it, don't buy it. No harm, no foul. I'm okay with that. And the strike rate was over 99%, because they would see the shot and go, shit, okay, now they go, Google Earth can do it. I'm like, no, this is different. Like I can be at the front fence, house there, looking to the Cape, and straight away there's like, yep. And now if you look at listings, I mean, you've looked recently to buy a house, if it's large portion of them all have aerial shots. Like it's just a part of it.
It's a nice perspective to see what's around you.
Absolutely. Because who's living next door?
You're living in a community.
Yeah.
It's nice to know who's around you, what's around you.
Yeah, for
sure. It's amazing, like, what you see first time in, you kind of forget. So when you go back, you go, fuck, I never knew there was a room there. I never knew there was a garage. You kind of forget stuff because you're so pinpointed on seeing the thing that got you there in the first place.
Yeah.
Which could have been the pictures of the fucking cooker or the fireplace or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The rest is just secondary to that thing. So and then you always feel a bit rushed sometimes in these houses where you're rushing through.
Well, if you've only got 20 minutes for an open home and you know there's 10 other people in there, like it's a big purchase. Like real estate is one of those weird things where someone can walk into a house and spend 10 minutes and go, yep, I'm going to buy that, and that's $1 million. It's a $1 million purchase. But then they go up to Robina and they go into a shoe store and they like spend an hour trying stuff on. They leave, they go to the food court, they think about it, they come back, and it's $100 purchase. Like it's so emotional, and without sounding esoteric, it's definitely a vibe. Like people can love a house.
It's the vibe. It's the serenity. It's two-stroke. It's the castle. A man's ham is his hands, you dickhead.
Ah, the serenity.
The serenity. Smell that? Yeah.
2 pairs of jousting sticks.
Dreaming love. 250.
Yeah, 250.
Dreaming.
Telling me giving 200. Anyway, so my job's become more relevant, and now, I mean, there's a lot of competition in what I do now, but I'm lucky I've got some really, really loyal clients, and it's pretty much every house. And not only that, like I do, builders,
weddings?
architects.
No. Try not to.
I've done a few, and they're extremely lucrative. But a wedding photographer, it's a different niche. It's absolutely a different niche. I mean, you need to wear a lot of hats. Like, you've got to be a therapist, a counsellor, an umpire, a photographer. Like, people say, wedding photographers, they can be quite brutal. You kind of have to.
Yeah, to get it done.
You got to get Uncle Tony, who hasn't talked to the nephew for 5 years. You got to get them together. They've both had 10 beers. Like, there's a lot going. So to answer your question, I have, but I mean, real estate itself is prickly enough. I mean, there's going into people's bedrooms, houses. There's divorces, have to sell. There's you meet. I mean, the thing I love about it most is just the variety of people. Like I see some incredible houses that you drive along and see a laneway, and you think, wonder what's down there. And then 2 weeks later, the phone will ring, and head down. Then you get to see that house, and you meet people that have done some incredible things. Just lots of life stories. So you would love it. You like talking to people. It's it's very interesting just to see, especially here. I mean, there's so many crazy different people that.
Maybe I should come and do a podcast behind while you're photographing. I'll find these crazy people.
Yeah.
I can dialogue and have a chat with them.
I can almost sense when the, sense from the booking form what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
You can tell a lot about a person by just walking in the house and the first few things they say. Often some of the biggest, most beautiful houses often won't be ready at all, because I guess they're used to having people get everything done, and then you go to a small little one in Casino and it's just absolutely beautiful, and they've spent the whole week just going crazy and getting it all ready for you because they're super house proud. Like, this is their major asset.
This is the asset.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So,
have you seen anything crazy like mad sex toys or fucking sex games, sex stuff? Or anything that made you go, wow, what the fuck is it?
I've been into a couple of rooms before and just sort of gone, like, seen lots of piping and reflective material, and thought, okay, this person's obviously a bit of a gardener.
A joiner?
Yeah, I've actually, one of the guys who does floor plans for a company that I work for, we went into a house and they'd obviously had a hens night or something before, and he's an older gentleman, he's probably 65. Hi, Trev. And we're in there we're in there taking photos, and like the house is a mess, and there's bottles of vodka and shit everywhere, and he's turning around, he's like leaning back going, oh, you're never going to be able to get photos of this, and he went to put his hands down like that. I said, oh Trev, just be careful. Turned around and there was a very large pink dildo just sitting on the kitchen bench, and Trev's quite straight, so he was a bit shocked. He left the room, but no, look, you do, like, as I said, like, you're going into people's bedrooms, and like, you're right in there. So normally they clean that stuff up and they hide the gimp, but every now and then you can see traces of what's been going on.
A mate of mine in Sydney, this American guy called Colin, he was going to buy a house, and I lived in Surrey Hills. He goes, can you just come and just give me an opinion? So it was a 2-bedroom apartment in Darlinghurst, in the gay district. Call it the gay district. The chances of it being gay are quite high.
Yes.
So he said, can you just come and just... Anyway, we got there, we walk in, and people are walking out with a kind of smirk on their face. As they walk in, there's a guy sitting on the sofa, dressed in leathers, watching the television, which I think was the news. I thought, what?
The agent. Yeah.
He's not the agent, because the agent was in the corner, like, trying not to laugh or keep a straight face. The guy on the sofa was just kind of smirking, and people were just walking through the house. So Colin walks in, and the guy's like, it's a 2-bedroom house, walk through here, and we get to this other bedroom door that had been closed. I said, what's in there? And the guy said, oh, just another bedroom. So I opened the door, and as I opened the door and we looked in, it was like let's call it a climbing frame or a hanging frame with all these leather straps. The floor was like black plastic bags, chains everywhere, gimp masks, rods and prods and sticks and fucking like stuff you would do that to someone in, but really pointy and jaggy.
Did you ask the agent if it came furnished? The furniture came with it?
He closed the door. He goes, all right, I'll be over here. And as we left, he was outside. I thought, what the fuck was in that room? He goes, mate, that's just the tenant.
That's his office.
And my mate Colin's like a Jewish guy. He's like, oh no, this is not good for me. I can't buy this house.
Mum's never going to approve of this one. My Rose and I, at one stage, we were looking for a house. I think we might have been out at Bathurst or somewhere weird like that. Anyway, so we went out there. We're looking for this house, and we went into this one room. And Rose is just like, oh no, this isn't right. There's something about this house that isn't quite right. I think we should go. And I'm like, no, like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful old house. And she's, no, this just feels really, really odd. Like there's something bad's gone on here. And I'm like, because Rose very picks up vibes like that. I'm like, no, we'll be right. And she says, look down. And I look down, and there's like all this red carpet, and exactly where we stood, there was just like one square of carpet which was blue, which had been chained. I think that's where the body was. Like, we were standing like right on the murder scene. I'm like, yeah, I think we'll go to the next one.
She sensed it.
Yeah, she sensed it. So
she sensed it on the rug.
We were right there. Which is
My sister sees that sort of stuff. She's like I always call her, she sees dead people.
Yeah.
She should do dead people therapy.
What is Sixth Sense?
Yeah, but she's got one day. He's a crazy story, a bit off piste, but that's how we roll. She's in a pub in Glasgow. Doesn't drink, but she's having like an orange juice. And
that's crazy enough as it is. You can stop the story there.
Yeah, and even her husband doesn't drink. He was having a Coke. But
and some Mentos.
This guy came over and said to my sister, this is in Inverness, so up the Highlands of Scotland.
Yeah.
He says, "Hi, I just need to tell you something." And my sister said yes, because she's a copper, and she was a copper. She said, "But maybe I've pulled that guy over, done him for something with it." And he says, "That white car you saw a few days ago up in the Inchmurren Road," he says, "he never saw it, but you saw it." He said, "I just need to let you know that the car was there." My sister said, "I'm sorry." He said, "Look, called himself like a
clairvoyant."
No, look, he says, let's call it some sort of animal reference. He goes, "I'm a lion." He says, "I'm the highest level of person that can see and connect with the dead and the living, whatever." And he says, "While I was over there having my drinks," he said, "as I looked at you, I saw the story. I saw what you saw." He says, "And I know you saw it." And my sister says, "Yeah, I did see that was a white Ford Escort." He went, "Well, the car was there." He says, "But he never saw it." He said, "But you saw the car because close to that car there was a castle, and that castle has a spiritual thingy." And he says that if you ever want to develop this, he says, "Come and I can help you to try and decipher the what you see." And she says, because you'll see a lot of stuff, but you just think of it as odd. And
So
you'll
it
get on
wasn't
with your life.
physically there. She
saw it there. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So,
And so
because she was driving, she pulled over
Yeah.
because it's a single track road, and every so often there's a bit of pull it and let the other car come. So she pulls in, and Ross, her husband, says, "What are you waiting for?" She said, "There's a white car coming," and he goes, "There's no fucking car." She sat for like a couple of minutes, and then she started driving up. She's like, "Where'd the car go?" And she saw a car.
Maybe she does. Do more
A
than
centurion.
oranges.
He was a centurion.
Centurion. Okay.
Yeah, so his level was that he said, "I'm a centurion." He goes, "If you ever want to process this, take this further, he said, I can help you channel those thoughts." Anyway, but that was a. So your wife, when people do sense
Yeah.
energy,
Yeah.
you sense it from people, you sense it in places.
They do.
They're fucking spooky.
It is. It is. I mean, yeah, her and her family, like they live down the Southern Highlands, and they would go into like a restaurant that might be in an old house, and a couple of her sisters, and they go, "Oh no, this isn't right." And then they'll speak to someone at the restaurant, and they go, "Oh yeah, like we'll come down in the morning and all the cupboards are open," or things like that. So for me, I'd want to see it to believe it, but I believe enough that the things that have happened with her, I'm like, yeah, okay. If she says it's not right, then I'll tell them that's fine. I'll agree with that.
You may shit yourself if you see it.
Yeah, the rest of my hair will go grey. So I don't know. I want to ask you a question.
They're far away.
When you did the podcast with Mr. Burris,
Yeah.
he said muesli.
Yeah.
Is it muesli or muesli? Muesli just sounds wrong. It grated my ears.
Yeah.
Is it muesli or muesli?
Well, it's MU, so it's muesli,
Yeah.
but people say muesli, granola. But everyone's got. I would say it's muesli.
Yeah.
Muesli. For
Yeah.
breakfast, we eat muesli.
When you say muesli, I'm like, because podcast is great. I'm like, oh come on, you're a smart man. It can't be that.
Maybe he was playing a joke. He went muesli with the cow milk and the. Maybe he was going muesli.
Maybe
muesli. Maybe there was humour
beyond
in
my
it.
intellectual reach.
I don't.
Maybe.
You know, I never picked up on it until you said it. Yeah, but we say it's muesli, or baked muesli, or toasted muesli.
Because I just having a strange name like Saul, like I get Saul, Soil, Phil, like all crazy, so whenever a word gets pronounced differently, I kind of go, oh, I don't know, like I want to know. When he was kept on saying, I'm like, come on, I've got to ask Scott. You're the professional.
Yeah. But I would say muesli.
You don't employ anyone that says muesli there.
So we try to use the word granola,
Yeah.
but we couldn't use the word garlic, but we couldn't use the word granola for. Sorry,
It's just go
this is where there's no
Like-
taste in this camera.
flow back in, not yet. Yeah.
The about 8 years ago, Sanitarium, so the company that owns Weetabix, they copyrighted the word granola. Some fucker approved that they own that fucking word, which is really ridiculous because granola is a method of creating something that's open to anyone. It was not a copyright anyway, so they sent round letters to everyone at the time saying cease and desist. And I said to Sally, I said, we should sue them. Let's give it the David and Goliath. Like, we'll just let's invest 10 grand to sue them, and then we'll give up because we'll run out of money. But by that time, hopefully, we would have got a bit of media attention. Anyway,
Great marketing exercise.
well, they picked a fight with the wrong guys. They picked on this company in Melbourne called Irowena Sourdough Bakery, who also make granola. Turns out those guys are all ex-lawyers. So they then took Sanitarium to the High Court or whatever it was and won. So
I mean, I can understand. I think Parmesan, the town of Parmesan, is you can't say Parmesan cheese anymore because that's their intellectual property, I guess. But granola is as you said, like it's a process. It's not.
that's just the process. It's like there's some crazy stuff. Like, I was listening to some stuff the other day about French cheese, like let's say Camembert or Swiss Gruyere or fucking
Bigger.
What's the Greek one? What's the Greek cheese called?
Feta.
Feta.
Yeah. Is
So
there a
they-
town called Feta?
Well, no, what they're trying to do now is that they're trying to take copyright on those words.
Yeah.
So what they're saying to Australian manufacturers, this is you can no longer say Camembert or you can no longer say Feta because you're taking the value, you're capitalising on our work. But then the Aussie guys, I had this on the thing, it's like the Aussie guys were saying, well hang on, we've been saying it's Australian Feta. Why can't it just be Feta? And just be Australian Feta? Or why can't it just be Australian cheddar or Australian whatever?
We'll do what Aldi does and just add another T.
Yeah.
Like Feta.
Oh, they're great. They
Yeah.
just fuck. But it's because they were trying to do Australia's trying to set up a free trade agreement with Europe.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it's part of this discussion with the free trade agreement.
Well, we can't use champagne. I know that. Champagne's been taken back.
But do you know why? I had to watch this thing on the ABC.
Is it because of the town of Champagne? I'm not sure.
Potentially, but what the champagne man was saying, he goes, we have a special technique. He said you can always sell a French champagne, but your bubbles are very tiny.
Yeah.
And it's true, is that when you have like a San Pellegrino or a Soda Stream, it's like the bubble. It's quite a harsh bubbling. So when you have like some Aussie champagnes, they're quite bubbly. And it's true that when I've tried some of the French ones, and they're really fine bubbles. And he says that's your IP. We've been able to ferment this in a certain way in this area to get that slow bubble release.
Type of grape and things.
It's amazing you can fucking incorporate a bubble. That's my fucking bubble. Oh, that bubble.
Well, maybe up to a certain size. Maybe granola you could have. We own from half a centimetre up is our granola.
Well, but it's like you only need to change something by 10%, 5%. Before you're out with copyright.
Yeah, it's not much. Like if you have a picture and you alter it by something, then you can absolutely.
I remember a mate of mine. He was telling me he was at the World Cup. Was it in Germany? The last when was it? Like 8 years ago.
Germany was about that. Yeah.
He says so. The official beer was, let's say it's Beck's, whatever the official beer. He goes, but what the small company did is they had set up the unofficial beer tents. He goes, and they were packed because there was more fun going on there. But it was not. So there was the unofficial beer, the unofficial dancers, the unofficial food, the unofficial T-shirts.
Like a fringe festival.
Yeah, but they're totally illegal.
Yeah.
But people were seeming to have more fun with those guys.
Well, there's that element of, as you said, like it's perceived as being illegal or wrong. That's where it's going to be.
Risque.
Loads and loads of applications, loads and loads. But I mean, look, when I got into it, I started doing, like I've done some stuff for, Channel 7 and BBC and all that. And then I thought, well, TV could be a way I go. But because it was such a perfect add-on for real estate photography that I do, I kind of kept in that niche because it just meant that I thought, if I expand onto that, I lose this, and then there's going to be more competition. I wasn't quite sure which way it would go, but for what I do, it's just sort of tacked on, so it made sense. And it just, instead of going to a house and earning $300, you earn $500, but you're there for only an extra 10 minutes. So fiscally, it just made absolute sense, and it just made my business go like this and just straight up, because it was people could just see straight away the benefit of it. So
it's not a pun, is it, when you say straight up, because the drone goes up?
Drone goes straight up, take off.
What is that?
That's what I mean. Take off. The drone goes straight up. So we pretty much did go like that when we had. There's been ups and downs, but there's another part. But let's try and think of one. Let's try and think of one that's not. But I think just in Australia, the internet got quicker, so therefore people could go onto the internet and look for houses. People started looking in other places to live, and once internet came, people could live in other places and work remotely. So I think with our business, it just sort of was there at the right time and was ripe and ready to go when things took off. Like during the global financial crisis, houses sort of, everyone had to sell, and for us it's like, well, if everyone has to sell because it's a shitty market, or if everyone has to sell because it's a good market, like the phone still rings. And it just, especially up in Byron, it just went crazy. Like for 3 years in a row, like our turnover doubled, just went exponential. But then, with any business, if you grow too quick, we made a lot of mistakes, and now...
But that's how you learn.
Look, absolutely.
You can stand on the sidelines and do nothing and be a fucking great observer.
Yeah.
Because there's fucking many people that love to do that to you. Oh, you should do it. Oh, you just do it. That's how you started the business. You just fucking start. Well, and it's like a bumpy ride along the way.
I look at some of the early stuff and I go, wow, I got paid for that. That is just tragic. That's so bad. But when I was listening to your podcast, when you went to do acting, like you just went, yeah, I'm going to be an actor. And I thought, well, fair play. Like we all do every day anyway. Like who's to say you didn't go to NIDA? Who's to say you are? But you had enough character to step up and go like that. And I think now, like I was saying to you, man, that
Dialing.
YouTube, you could do anything. Like I listened to a podcast the other day about a guy who built a house. Like he was an accountant. Like his wife just said, you will never do it. Like you can't even put a thing up on the wall, a picture up on the wall. So he went, I'll do it. And he just, what do you call it, the house that YouTube built. And he just went there and just Googled YouTube videos and ended up building a house. And like, this is someone that's smart but resourceful, and just went, well, YouTube's there, you can do it. learn, you know, I went onto websites and I tell people that I used to buy all these country living magazines and studied them. You know.
No, you could tell them a good story.
I was saying that to someone else the other day and my wife goes, no you didn't. And I'm like, I didn't, did I? I said, it's a good story though. But no, it was more like going on, like making loads of mistakes, but then also, you know, now you can go on and find websites about anything, but like loads of other people because the industry was taking off. And Australia and New Zealand are probably the biggest real estate marketing. Like you go to America and it's getting bigger, and some countries like Mexico, you don't have jobs like that. You just don't do it. Like
You'd be a drug runner.
Yeah. So I mean, we're kind of lucky that here there's so much work that I could fail and learn things, and looked at websites, and I still do. Like even with photography, any type of photography, there's always things to learn. Like today I went to a house and it had these really dark wood ceilings and it was cloudy outside. It's like, okay, well now I need to think a bit different. And even though I've probably done, God knows, 20,000 houses, it was a challenge, and I had to sort of think that, so you can never just become complacent with it at all. And the moment you do, then someone else is going to come up from behind and take your business. Like you've always got to, and the technology changes and the cameras changes and the style of images changes. I mean, now
back in the day, it would have just been the real estate taking a picture, wouldn't it?
Still do, some of them. Still do. I mean, iPhones are so good that, you know, if an agent can get the balance and everything right, it can look good. Inside is hard because you got inside outside, but yeah, like before it used to be agents just going around like this, like they take a photo of the toilet with the seat up and just stuff like that. But the thing was that they would have the personal contact of the person coming in, and then they'd show them the photos. Whereas now the front door is the internet. Like very rarely, I mean, I shouldn't say very rarely, but people do come off the street in smaller towns and things, but you know, in the city, like if it's...
But on the way to that smaller town, they would have been on fucking realestate.com or whatever, just like flicking through to see what was available.
Absolutely. Like when the coronavirus hit, Byron Bay is always popular, but it was like top of realestate.com searches for like 3 weeks in a row, because everyone's like, well, I'm working already from home, I don't have to go into the city. Why am I living in Surrey Hills when I can be living in Suffolk Park? So they're just, you know, they looked, and it's all internet based. There's a house in Bangalore that sold for $1.7 million, and it was two guys in Sydney that hadn't even seen it, and it was an online auction.
Online auction?
Yeah. And as bringing back the shoes, like I wouldn't buy shoes online in the world, but these guys hadn't actually been. Maybe they sent someone on the ground to look at them, but you know, that amount of money, I think you'd want to go there. But it all was down to obviously location and things like that, but the online marketing and the way it was pitched and presented wasn't my fault.
Major darling.
He's got the aviators on.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.